Thought, what is writing for young readers but storytelling? With a light heart, I sent off my little story to a small publisher known to be interested in short, easy-reading books. As soon as it was in the mail, I found I was still thinking about Henry, and my mind was a scrap bag of ideas from which I was pulling out memories, incidents, newspaper articles, snatches of overheard conversation, the world around me, all of which were nudging my imagination. The manuscript was promptly returned with an encouraging letter telling me I should write a number of stories and weave them into a book-length plot. Well, apparently I was better than I thought I was. I sat down and wrote 5 more stories about Henry, 1 chapter a week. This time I wrote in longhand because I disliked typing. Then, surprised to have written about a boy, and with some misgivings about the last chapter, I laboriously typed the manuscript and mailed it to Morrow Junior Books, a larger publisher whose editor had a reputation in the bookstore of being the smartest editor in the business. This time I watched the mail so anxiously that the mailman asked what I was waiting for and became equally interested. After 6 weeks of shaking his head, he finally bypassed the mailbox and came to the door waving an envelope. A letter. My manuscript was not rejected. Somebody had written a letter. The editor wrote saying they were very much interested in my manuscript, but would I consider making changes, particularly in the last chapter? Of course I would. The changes turned out to be minor, even in that last chapter, which was quickly straightened out with the help of the editor's tactful suggestions. After I returned the revised manuscript, I received a letter of acceptance telling me Henry Huggins would be one of the exciting publications of the fall season. With that letter, my first acceptance of many, I became, in the words children were to use for the next 50 years, a real live author.
Chapter 1. Henry and Ribs. Henry Huggins was in the 3rd grade. His hair looked like a scrubbing brush, and most of his grown-up front teeth were in. He lived with his mother and father in a square white house on Klickitat Street. Except for having his tonsils out when he was 6, and breaking his arm falling out of a cherry tree when he was 7, nothing much happened to Henry. I wish something exciting would happen, Henry often thought. But nothing very interesting ever happened to Henry, at least not until one Wednesday afternoon in March. Every Wednesday after school, Henry rode downtown on the bus to go swimming at the YMCA. After he swam for an hour, he got on the bus again and rode home just in time for dinner. It was fun, but not really exciting. When Henry left the YMCA on this particular Wednesday, he stopped to watch a man tear down a circus poster. Then, with 3 nickels and 1 dime in his pocket, he went to the corner drugstore to buy a chocolate ice cream cone. He thought he would eat the ice cream cone, get on the bus, drop his dime in the slot, and ride home. That is not what happened. He bought the ice cream cone and paid for it with 1 of his nickels. On his way out of the drugstore, he stopped to look at funny books. It was a free look because he only had 2 nickels left. He stood there, licking his chocolate ice cream cone and reading one of the funny books, when he heard a thump, thump, thump. Henry turned, and there behind him was a dog. The dog was scratching himself. He wasn't any special kind of dog. He was too small to be a big dog, but on the other hand, he was much too big to be a little dog. He wasn't a white dog, because parts of him were brown, and other parts were black, and in between there were yellowish patches. His ears stood up, and his tail was long and thin. The dog was hungry. When Henry licked, he licked. When Henry swallowed, he swallowed. "Hello, you old dog," Henry said. "You can't have my ice cream cone." Swish, swish, swish went the tail. "Just 1 bite," the dog's brown eyes seemed to say. "Go away," ordered Henry. He wasn't very firm about it. He patted the dog's head. The tail wagged harder. Henry took 1 last lick. "Oh, all right," he said. "If you're that hungry, you might as well have it." The ice cream cone disappeared in 1 gulp. "Now go away," Henry told the dog. "I have to catch a bus for home." He started for the door. The dog started too.